Welcome. Thank you for coming to the Bay Area Book Festival's Cannabis Now program. No, that's wrong. No. I'm Cara Black. I'll be the moderator trying to interview Jussi Adler-Olsen. And I write books set in Paris. I kill people all over, and my new book is out today. Thank you. Enough about me. Can you all please silence your cell phones? And just to remind you, we're gonna, Jussi's gonna talk. We're gonna have time for Q&A. And after the talk, we will be signing across the street at Brower Center, Gallery East side of the lobby. The books will be sold by Booksmith, a wonderful San Francisco indie bookseller. We would like to really thank for making this this discussion, this interview available, the Barbro Osher Pro Suecia Foundation, the Danish Arts Foundation, if you're here, somebody, and the Royal Danish Embassy. Very classy. So thank you very much for coming. I know you're all fans of Jussi, like I am. I am thrilled to be honored to be able to, talk to him a little bit.
Likewise.
He's a charmer, right?
Likewise.
Okay, this is really about Jussi. So a lot of you are followers of Department Q novels. I just heard him speaking with some of his fans out in the lobby there. So let's get right to that. What are the movie and TV deals coming up before we talk about anything else?
The movie deals here?
Yeah.
May I say hello? First of all. Thank you for coming. Fantastic. Movie deals, you're talking about the American movie deals.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. 2 years ago, or 3, there was a guy calling me. And I'm educated in movies at the university in Copenhagen, so I know a lot of movies, also American. And he introduced himself. I'm Scott Frank, he said. And I said, this is funny, because I know a guy in the film industry called Scott Frank, and he's the best one. He makes Little Man Take, Get Shorty, Mission Impossible, Schindler's List. He and Steven Sealian, they are fantastic. Yes, he said, yes, Steven also, but you don't have to mention all my books, or films, So he asked me, do you want to sell the rights for TV series here in America? I have to say, I said yes, immediately. And so 1 book, 1 season, 10 years, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's wonderful.
We're starting up in 2 years, I guess.
That's fantastic.
Let's see if we can compete Breaking Bad and stuff like that.
So, Jussi, you're, #1 Danish crime writer. Your books have sold millions, especially in Europe. You've won all these Nordic prizes. Tell us,
And American.
And American, oh, excuse me. He's going to catch me on everything. So, but what's fascinating to me is about growing up. How you grew up, your childhood, your father, and where you grew up. Would you talk about that?
Do you like to stand there in the corner? Or should we get a little
I'm in the
closer?
corner,
Okay.
but I've got my questions.
Seems a little strange, even though I'm long-sighted. My childhood?
Yeah.
Oh, it's always about the childhood, isn't it? I was brought up in mental hospitals. My father was a doctor. And I lived throughout most of my childhood amongst deeply insane people. And my father, who was quite controversial, so he said, well, I see the children as keyholes to reality for the insane people. And he was so right.
Keyholes to the reality.
Yeah, when they saw us playing around or even coming to the department, all departments were open for us. Yeah, that's why. But he was wise. First of all, he was controversial. We are talking about the 50s. In 55, I was living in a mental hospital where my father was only an assistant. And there you had nothing really to cure the people with. You could give them shock treatment or strap them down or drug them down, but not really anything that helped them. The year after, in 56, the psychopharmaca, the drug came to Denmark from Germany, and maybe also from US. And suddenly I could talk to them. They were like persons suddenly, walking around freely, most of them. Even some of them were quite harsh and, murderers too. And my best friend, he was Carl Mørk. No, he was just Mørk. Carl, that's I. He was Mørk. And I saw very, very easily the good and evil in him, so well combined. So he gave me a little kitten. Nice. And every day he came with food from the central kitchen. And I could see within a distance 200 meters, is it anything I like? He was like this, you know. But most of the time it was liver and stuff like that. Terrible.
Liver.
So, but he gave me a kitten, and I loved him very much. He was a killer. And he killed his wife. And I asked my father, 6 years old, whatever happened here? And he wouldn't like to be too dramatic. So he said, well, you know when dogs and cats are fighting. And he was a dog. And he killed his wife, but he was not insane before that. He became insane on this deed. He was so sad most of his life, I guess, and he even died in mental hospitals many years later. So this is Carl Mørk's bad side. And the good side is, of course, this guy here. You know, do you know my name, my real name? It's Carl Valdemar Jussi Henry Adler-Olsen. Point. Yeah. I was not Christian Jussi, actually. I was Christian Carl Valdemar. And that's a pity. You can't call a baby Carl Valdemar. So my sisters, I have 3 of them. I can really recommend, if you want to be a crime writer or just a writer, have 3 elderly sisters. And they said, well, Junior, you can call him Junior, Mama. But my mother thought, Junior, no. But Jussi Björling, that was a Swedish opera singer. And he was the best. And she thought I was quite good too, 3 months old. So I had this nickname. And when I was 6 years old, you can ask me something if you want.
Okay.
I can babble all the time. But when I was 6 years old, when I should attend school, my father said, you have to realize, you see, when they say Carl, it's you. All my identity had gone, you know. I sat down in a corner for 3 days, and my father, he passed and said, why are you sitting there? I'm not going to school. So he had to write to the king of Denmark 1 month before I entered school, please help me out of this bad situation. And I had the letter from the king, the names letter, it's called, with a seal and everything.
Your dad went right to the top, didn't he? He just went right to the top.
Why not?
Yeah,
why not?
Yeah.
We only had 4 weeks, so.
Yeah,
from now on, your name is Carl Valdemar Jussi Henry. And I couldn't understand why not Jussi Carl Valdemar. But later on, I was explained, this is not a king's name. And you can't come before a king's name. So, Carl Valdemar. Sure. So, this is I.
So that gets to my next question. What inspired you to create Carl Mørk? I mean, you're sort of saying that, but, and how does your childhood inform your books? You know, because you had a very unique childhood. That, you know.
I really don't know.
Okay.
To be frank. But of course, it has influenced my point of view according to other people. I love art people. And I'm not afraid of insane people, too. In fact, I prefer so many times to sit with a person a little crazy, you can say. You should see all my friends. Of course, it influenced my life because I was so close to tragedies and close to men and women in situations that is not normal. But I think that what also influenced me later on was that my father, he said to me, You have so many talents, you see, and please do me the favor, throughout your life, follow all of it, one by one, but see to that you are happy. And I said to him, well, thank you, but I have to make a living too. And then he said, yes, but you have the best talent of all in the world. You are lucky. You know, he gave me free, quite early in my life, my father. That was important. He was the best educated man in Denmark at all. And I always saw the back of him when he came home from hospital, studying. I mean, Berkeley would be the perfect place for him to live forever and ever. And his back was nice, but he taught me a lot, also about writing. Well, now it's your turn.
I think he told you about storytelling too. I think you got that. I mean, your storytelling.
Well, yes, I am a storyteller. Now I'm making a lie like I always do. Like, why do you Scandinavians are so good in storytelling? Yes, it's because, you know, in the wintertime it's so cold and dark, and we sit by the fireplace day and night and tell each other stories like the Icelandic sagas. And then they ask me, yes, really, true? Yes. But why are you so harsh, so grim? Oh, we are Vikings, you know.
Vikings?
We just kill people to get warm.
How has Carl changed or developed over the course of the Department Q series?
You ask me how did I invent this person? I was asked by a producer, a startup there, could you please come and make some police stories for television, for me? No, I said. It doesn't interest me at all. I'm not writing crime stories. Did you think that? Do you think I'm writing crime stories? Do you know the difference? A crime story is, a crime is happening. A body is lying somewhere and they're going to solve the crime. That's a crime story. I'm writing thrillers. And a thriller is to prevent a crime to happen in the end. Now you're reading fast over there to see what's happening.
Ticking clock, yeah.
Question?
So has Carl changed? I mean...
Oh, how has he changed?
Yes.
So I told myself, I don't want to make a standard police story. I can put him down in the cellar because he's so lazy. And he prefers not to do anything. And or whatever he likes. And then I had to invent a person who could catalyze him to do something at all. And that was Assad, this strange character with a lot of secrets on his back, came to him and made him be a police officer. But still he didn't care about the crime stories or the dogmas combined to this, to be a police officer in Denmark, you know. Only specific crimes, only in specific regions. I wanted to be free. I also said to the producer, you know, of the movies, I don't want to make police stories because I want to smash a super tanker in the Atlantic Ocean and drown 10,000 people, and you can't afford that. So with Carl Mørck in the cellar, I had a person who was a little, he was fed up by his work. Many police officers are that. Were you ever fed up in your work with the CIA? He was, yeah. You can see that.
Larry's being very quiet about it right there.
Oh
okay.
my God, he's so fed up.
Well, why cold cases? Why
cold cases. I didn't know the cold cases before that because I'm never seeing, you know, well, that's not true. I didn't know of the cold cases from Australia. There was a television series there. I just thought of cases of all kinds made me free to do whatever I liked. And, but more important, how did he change, is the secrets of him. I made up the story in 2006, and I worked half a year of preparing myself into the plots of and secrets of Carl, Assad, and Rose. And then I made 10 cases, so you could combine the cases with the secrets. But the secrets sort of took over, right? And of course he changed a lot. but not as much as Assad will be changing, and also Rose. Oh, in number 7, you can just...
when you read the
My
end of this
God.
one, Rose, that
and
comes
number
out...
8 is Assad's story, Secrets of Him. He changed not really that much, but because of his secrets, you know, I know that he's being stuck in a corner suddenly. And he also changed towards the attitude of Assad. He actually loves Assad now, not in the beginning. He came as a cleaning lady with, the green gloves, rubber gloves. I think he understood better and better his own work through the eyes of Rose and Assad. He saw it more clearly, catalyzed.
I love Assad, that character. I just can't wait to see what's going to happen. And he won't tell me. I asked him previously.
So, of course, he's being killed very, very harshly in number 8. Now I told you.
No.
Well, most authors are liars, aren't they?
You're lying for a living. That's great. So this kind of... Did you already know you wanted to write a series? You talked about the 10 cases. But
Yes.
You did?
Yes, I did.
Did you? Okay, so I want to ask.
I made 3 standalones. And you can read The Alphabet House here in America now. And next year, the Washington Decree, a very good Donald Trump story, is coming up. Oh, so good time. Thank you, God and Donald.
Very prescient.
Then there's another standalone 2. That means 3. Yes, I knew that I wanted to make a special crime story. A crime story where the development was actually a true development, not just an officer being divorced and so forth, but the story of him and the 2 others over 10 years, to see that.
So did you outline when you know?
Yes.
Ooh.
I outlined not only the plots and the secrets and the cases, but also the dramatic curve, you know? You can start off in a movie like, and in many movies it's like that and that and that, and then doesn't work. So a true story, it has to be, you know, like The Hanging Girl, number 1, base. Simple story, presenting all the main characters. Number 2, a little harsher. Well, violent. And it has to be in number 2. Did you know that? Mm-hmm. You did?
Well, I kind of
This is good.
No,
Number 2, because if I had done it in the first one, what is the title of the English American version? Number 2.
The first, which one? I don't remember because
Elizabeth.
they've been translated. Do you know? The absent one.
The absent
Thank
one.
you.
True. To be violent in number 1 doesn't work because many people will throw it away, and in number 3, then people will think you can walk on water. You have to try out what's the limitations of your readers in number 2. Number 3, more action. Number 4, anecdotes. Number 5, back to the classical story of Hollywood twist, you can say, the Marco effect, and then into some esoteric phenomena, and then up. Rose, Assad, Karl, firework. That was a plan, and I'm still sticking to that. I changed 2 of the cases. You have to realize that someone else are writing stories in the world. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to make a story in number 4 of German refugees in Denmark, and that was a bad story, I can tell you. But someone else had done that, so I had to change it.
So do you think you're going to keep on writing Department Q? Are you going to alternate between standalones? What's your plan?
My plan is to stop when I made number 10, and I'm making number 8 now, 9, 10, bye-bye Q, and then some more standalones. And I even know the title and have been reading 150 pages of the first one, called The Illustrated Chinaman.
The Illustrated Chinaman, wow.
So, but let's see. I'm 67 years old, you never know. Lightning, you know. Bang.
I don't think your fans will let you stop. Can you talk about the Alphabet House? That is, I've told you that's really one of my favorites because there's a whole story behind that.
Yes, I would love to. The Alphabet House.
We don't have it here, but
no, we don't have a copy.
the a standalone.
You could say it is sort of a Second War story, but it isn't. It's happening there, of course. 2 English pilots flying over Germany, being shot down. Trying to flee away, impossible. So they are entering a lazaret train with SS mental sick officers coming from the Eastern Front and going down south to the Schwarzwald by Freiburg, south in Germany. Suddenly, they are lying there in beds together with generals and colonels and so forth, all insane people. And then they are simulating also being insane, and they are being put into the alphabet house, the mental house, can't really communicate. One is understanding Germany, the other not. But the whole case is around other simulants. Maybe you should explain.
You're doing a great job.
Okay.
It's so unique, you know.
So now you are in point of view, so to speak. 2 really important things when you're writing thrillers is point of views and suspense. And suspense, you know it from the Hitchcock movies. But in literature, it's something a little different. I'm having a point of view of James, that's one pilot. And he knows nothing what's going to happen in the next chapter. But Brian, in the next chapter, knows everything about what's happening to James. Namely, he's going to be killed when he's opening the door in the 3rd chapter. Is it too difficult, this? Well, you are Brian and you are James. You are James in the chapter of James, you are Brian in the chapter of Brian. And you know, as a Brian character, no, James, don't open the door. This is suspense. Is he being killed or not? And point of views. If you're reading John Grisham, and I like him very much, he's jumping from one head to another within few lines. And then he can't make any suspense. It's impossible. It's another sort of writing. This is a classical story. And what is going to happen with them, it's parted in 2 parts. The one part is in the mental hospital, and the other part is 25 years later.
Can I ask where those characters came from? Did you ever know similar characters, you know, Germans, I mean, people who'd fought in the war because, you know.
Well, I used only twice real persons in my books. In the Q series he's the one who's grilling the neighbor who's also grilling beef sticks and so forth. He's real. Ken, he's called. Strange character. Grilling all year through, you know. January, short trousers. Still grilling. And the other one is the pockmarked person in the alphabet house. The only one, truly. He was my bodyguard in the mental hospital. He was sort of 2 meters high and pockmarked, of course, and he was a former captain of a ship. And I was so impressed of him because he killed one man with one blow. Wow. One strike and he was dead. Fantastic. I loved him. And he had a big belt like John Wayne, you know. So I walked around with him like this. That was the pockmarked person. But no, normally I'm inventing all my persons. I'm not sitting in a cafe and seeing this person. Surprise, you are the next person of my book? No. So maybe some of you, but I won't tell. I took a photo, you know, so this character.
So talk about your writing habits. You know, I know part of the year you live in Barcelona, part of the time in Denmark. You're going to be in July in Stockholm in Sweden with the family. Do you have a set, you know, pages? Do you have a certain place? Tell us your secret. Or it changes.
I have no routines at all. Simply, I write when I have time. That's it. And I'm a little special because I'm a gadget person. Do you know which text system I still use? No? Do you think it's Word? No. No, no, no. This is toys. I'm using WordPerfect 5.1. Best text system in the world. And why? You don't need to use, you don't see the cursor. You don't see anything. The mouse is, I can use, the keys like I want to do. It's much quicker, much faster, much more fantastic. Fantastic. And then it's a blue screen and white letters in Korea, not New Times Roman, no.
Career, yeah.
I have a lot of colleagues, and some of us are in a small castle 14 days a year. We're sitting there in small rooms, a refugee place, sort of, a fugium. And we are meeting every evening to read aloud for each other the raw text from the day. And I know, because I'm writing in WordPerfect, and that's a secret, that my stuff is shit. But they don't. They're coming with, the pagina's and the margins and everything, looking like a book, thinking it is a book, but it's still terrible bad. So they don't edit. I do. I edit and edit and edit. Yep. Sometimes I write 1 hour a day, sometimes 14, 15. But I'm always making a synopsis for the very book of 22 pages or something like that. So I know what's going to happen. What I don't know is the secrets and the problems, how to solve it. So it's so funny for me to write until a real problem is coming.
It makes it fresh. So you're saying you sit with a bunch of other writers at night in this castle and you read each other's work?
Yeah, have you tried it?
Yeah, I'm in a writing group, but we don't meet in a castle. Gee. That's pretty cool.
We don't have anything else in Denmark but castles.
Okay.
Well, I can give an example of the problem that I didn't quite know how to solve. Try to imagine a woman. She's my favorite woman, Nikki Lansat, in the book called And She Thanked the Gods. It's not out here in the US, but it will come. She's in a telephone box, being strapped, like this, and here, and falling forward. So she's slowly being strangled in one of those old telephone boxes, from Britain or something like that.
Is this with duct tape or rope?
Sorry?
With duct tape or rope?
Duct tape.
Okay, good.
I couldn't remember the word, duct tape. And around her is a playground. Dutch children are playing and laughing and so forth while she's slowly dying. But she's my main character. And she can't die, but she's going to. And she can't phone, because there's no phone, it's only a toy now. And she can't take a match and burn something. She can't do nothing at all, but die. It's the most terrible place I could ever describe. Can you imagine slowly dying while children are laughing and running around, playing in the sand? So how to solve it? How to get her out? Please tell me, you wise Americans.
Well, we can answer that later. We know it's duct tape, right? So we can start thinking and then we can ask you. But that's something about the pathos of that, everyday life and this terrible thing happening. But then you bring in, which someone mentioned before, your humor and this wittiness with this horror, the hilarity and the horror. And we can all see you have a sense of humor, just the way you talk. But did that come from this sort of black humor that you would call like people here in the morgue or the police? It's a defense mechanism in a way. Do you think somewhere that comes from that?
There are two sides to that. The first side is, my aim is that my readers should be my co-workers, so to speak. I'm trying to trick the fantasy of the readers. You think I'm detailed. You are. This pile of blood can be like a stream of blood in your mind. You crazy people. And it's so lovely, to imagine you in your beds in night, having 10 minutes of reading. your head still falling down to the pillow. And then I give you such a short sentence of a cliffhanger, and then you have to raise your head for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, it's falling down again. Then I'm coming with a camel joke, or something like that. Triggering your endorphins, and you're laughing a little, now you can't sleep. For half an hour. Ha ha! That's very important. Then after half an hour, you're falling down again, and then we are having the murder. And then you are, of course, very tired the next morning, but who cares? So that's one side of the humor. The other side of the humor is actually coming from Assad. He's a very tragic figure, actually. So he's trying to keep himself alive within the humor. And the humor, I mean, even the Germans understand it. That was a joke.
That was a joke, but we only have one German here, I think.
Yeah. You know, the Germans and the Danes, we are neighbors, and they are so close to us. And I'm selling 1.3 million of every book in Germany, so I have to be polite when I'm there. But nevertheless, I'm telling them, well, you know, you are quite formal at the outside, I should say. You are saying Herr Professor and Doctor, and, you know, why is that? Why don't you call your colleague after 20 years still the last name? It makes no sense for a Dane. You're so formal at the outside, almost like the Swedes. But the difference between the Swedes and you is that the Swedes are still formal at the inside. Are there any Swedes here? Oh, hello. Hur mår du? Hey. Well, he looks quite humorous. He has been living here for some years, I guess.
Okay, all these obstacles Carl has. Think of this ex-wife.
I have to say the last sentence here.
Okay, yes.
Because then I tell the Germans politely, but inside you're not formal. You're like Danes in disguise.
The ex-wife. You know, she irritates me so much, you know.
Ex-wives are irritating. Are there any ex-wives here? I assume that.
Okay, well, but I mean, she's always in there, and he feels obligated to her and to visit her mother-in-law. And where did that come from? Is that like a personal?
She's not attracted too much to him.
Yeah.
That's why. That's why she's annoying.
Yeah.
Annoying.
But he falls for it, or he
Yeah,
goes
of course.
along with it. Yeah.
We men do that. We fall for the women we can't get. That's it. Okay. Well, I got one. She's sitting down there. Wave. This is my wife, Hannah. 47 years together.
47? Bravo!
But look at her.
Okay, you thank in your acknowledgments many police and people in law enforcement. Do you hang out with them? Do you take them out to dinner? Do you buy them wine? Or do you get them talking? Or do they just, invite you into the station? What's your in with the police?
Of course, I have some research material there. In the police yard of Copenhagen, in the cellar where Carl is actually having his office, there's a small club called the Funeral Club. And the Funeral Club was formed in 1978. And the purpose of the club was when they died, and police officers normally died in that period after a few years after retirement. When they die, before they die, of course, they put 2,000 Danish crowns into a box, all of them. And then when they died, it was not to help the widows for the funeral, it was to help them to have a little fun, like going to Mallorca or something like that. But they didn't die. The police officers are still there. Those are my friends, in the cellar, in this club. Within those many years, the money raised until $3.5 million. And now they are in the 70s and 80s, telling me everything, because they can. The one who is in office can't tell me anything. They can't, it's not allowed for them. So they tell me anything. And when you sit down there with them in the cellar, you clearly see what's happening, because they had the idea that the last man standing takes the whole.
Who
So
knew?
they're trying to kill each other, you know? Have a cigar, you. Shall I put a little more butter on your bread? What about a little schnapps? They're so extremely crazy, those guys. But they tell me, yeah, I'm not giving them wine. They are taking the wine themselves.
They can afford it, yeah. And do they offer you ideas for cases? I mean, do they say...
No.
No?
No. You know, I have to think that I'm original. Yeah. I have to think that my writing is original too. So therefore, I'm not reading other like you.
Yeah. I take mine from real events, but you don't do that.
No, because real events, thousands of crime writers are doing the same. I have to invent something that I believe hasn't been done before. That's it. And what am I using those police officers for? To be correct, you know, in dialogues and how to solve a crime, investigations and so forth.
And procedures, right?
Yes.
Do you ever get letters from people or emails talking about procedures or
Well,
gun use or...
mistakes?
Yeah.
Well, I did once, I have to admit that. In book number 3.
We always remember. Yes.
Yeah. A person is throwing a bag of money out of the window in the train. And it was okay in my research. I took the train, but later on I realized, well, the train came a little too early because of a chase with a car. So in my mind, I took the next train. But in the next train, it's called a C4 in Denmark, you can't open the window. I had emails, I can tell you. First of all, are you such a rich, crazy guy, never taking normal transportation? Secondly, can we believe anything you're writing?
Yeah. I put the book down when I read that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, when they made the movie, I told them, please take a hammer with you. But now I have my wife and my assistant sitting by my wife, you know, to
Check everything.
to check everything.
Let's talk about translation, because how do you ever read your books in English? Does your wife and your assistant read it?
My assistant, she reads it perfectly, and she has been living here for years. So now you are going to ask me, is it good?
Yeah.
I can tell you the American ones is better than the English, because you have humor. And
Yes.
the English ones doesn't understand it. Well, Monty Python, but it's not that kind of humor I'm using.
Yeah.
So yes, I have been reading myself in American, and I was amazed of the story. I recognized most of it, and it was not bad, I have to say. I was happy.
You're happy. Okay, who do you like to read? This is a loaded question. But
Yeah.
Or founding influence. I mean, who did you read?
My biggest influence is actually an American. I'm not the Hemingway type at all. He's only writing about himself. He's too masculine and... But John Steinbeck. Do you think I'm going to visit his house within a few days? Yes. He was my hero and still is. John Steinbeck, because he did what I think is the most important thing when you are a writer. He understood the missing voice. The missing voice of writing is you. Try to imagine a composer like Beethoven with 108 voices in the partitur. It can be overproduced. It's still fantastic, but within 2 hours you are exhausted. Then there's Mozart, also fantastic, if you like Mozart anyway. And he took out 5 voices of the partitur. And who are the 5 voices? It's you. Now you can hum along. Makes you so much cooperating with the composition. Same with paintings. When you melt down into a painting, the missing voice is there. So, and in writing the missing voices, to leave out the details and to make you make the fantasy.
So the reader sees more in their imagination reading.
And all different. That's fantastic. Who is Karl Mørck? How does it look like? I never described it, but you see him clearly, all of you. I'm sure. And but I don't, because I am Karl Mørck, and he never looks upon himself in the mirror. I see clearly Assad, and why is that? Because he's a two-dimensional character. That means you never come into his head. You only see him from the outside, also with Rose. Except for in number 8, then Rose is also three-dimensional, and in 7 and 8, Assad is three-dimensional. So what
That's called The
was
Scarred
the
Woman,
question?
right?
My God.
The Scarred Woman, that's the next one, with Rose.
Yeah, is it called The Scarred Woman?
I believe so, yep.
What a
September
title.
16th.
Yeah, okay. It's called Selfies in Europe. And selfies is not like doing this. It's all about the symbols of selfishness. That's number 7, yes. And the story of Rose.